Most people think wealth begins with opportunity. Benjamin Franklin knew better. He knew wealth begins with pressure. Before he was on the $100 bill, before he advised presidents, before his name became synonymous with money, Franklin was born into something most modern men fear more than failure. Crowded poverty, 17 children, one small house, a father who worked endlessly, a future that was already decided. Or so it seemed. There was no inheritance waiting for him, no mentor opening doors, no safety net. And that is the first lesson Franklin's life teaches about building wealth. Wealth does not come from advantage. It comes from how you respond when there is none. Franklin left school at 10 years old, not because he lacked intelligence, but because his family could not afford the luxury of education. He was sent to work, to contribute, to survive. Most men today would call this bad luck. Franklin called it reality, and instead of resenting it, he used it. While others complain about starting behind, Franklin learned early that time, attention, and discipline were the only currencies that mattered. He became an apprentice printer. Long hours, low pay, no recognition. But here is where Franklin separated himself from everyone else in the room. He didn't just work. He studied leverage. While other apprentices wasted nights drinking or gossiping, Franklin stayed awake reading philosophy, history, economics, human behavior. He borrowed books when he couldn't buy them. He copied essays by hand to learn how great writers thought. He trained his mind when his body was already exhausted. This is critical. Franklin understood something most people never do. Your financial ceiling is determined by your intellectual discipline, not your starting income. At 16, Franklin ran away to Philadelphia with almost nothing in his pocket. No plan, no protection, no certainty. What he had instead was self-command. He arrived in a new city carrying bread under his arms, dressed poorly, unknown to everyone. That image matters. Because wealth does not begin with appearance. It begins with internal order. Franklin didn't chase quick money. He didn't gamble. He didn't look for shortcuts. He looked for systems, and systems require patience. Franklin's early life proves a brutal truth most people avoid. If you cannot govern yourself when you are poor, money will only amplify your chaos later. So he built rules, daily routines, reading schedules, work standards, personal conduct principles. He treated his life like a business before he ever owned one. And this leads to the second lesson. Wealth is not about earning more. It is about wasting less. Energy, time, focus, character. Franklin famously tracked his behavior daily, not to impress others, not for motivation, but to remove internal friction. He understood that disorder inside a man always becomes disorder in his finances. Debt, impulsive spending, inconsistent effort. These are not money problems. They are character leaks. Franklin fixed the leaks first. When he eventually started his own printing business, he did not rely on charm or hype. He relied on reputation. He was known for showing up early, for working longer than required, for delivering exactly what he promised. In an age without social media, branding, or marketing funnels, Franklin mastered the most valuable currency of all, trust. And trust compounds faster than money. Clients paid him not because he was the cheapest, but because he was reliable. Reliability creates repeat business. Repeat business creates stability. Stability creates leverage. This is how wealth actually grows, not in dramatic jumps, but in quiet accumulation. Franklin lived modestly even as his income grew. No flashy displays, no reckless upgrades, no lifestyle inflation. Why? Because Franklin understood something that destroys modern men. When spending rises to match income, freedom disappears. So he kept his expenses low and his standards high. And slowly, almost invisibly, he crossed a line. He stopped working for survival and started working for position. By his early 40s, Franklin retired from day-to-day business, not because he chased retirement, but because he had built systems that worked without him. This is the real meaning of financial independence. Not escape, not luxury, but control. Control over time, control over attention, control over direction. Franklin used that freedom not to indulge, but to expand influence. He invested in ideas, in civic institutions, in knowledge networks. He became valuable not because of his money, but because of his judgment. And judgment is the highest paid skill in any era. Here is the uncomfortable truth Franklin's life exposes. Most people want wealth without transformation. Franklin knew wealth is the byproduct of transformation. He did not wait for conditions to improve. He improved himself until conditions had no choice but to follow. And that is where part 1 ends. Because before wealth can be built externally, it must be constructed internally. through discipline, restraint, and long-term thinking. In the next part, we will break down how Franklin turned personal discipline into financial leverage and how he used reputation, networks, and patience to multiply money without chasing it. Discipline as financial leverage. Benjamin Franklin never treated discipline as a moral virtue alone. He treated it as a financial weapon. Most people think money is multiplied through risk, speed, or aggression. Franklin understood something far more dangerous. Money is multiplied through predictability, and predictability is born from discipline. By the time Franklin's printing business stabilized, he had already separated himself from nearly every competitor in his field, not because he worked harder in bursts, but because he worked consistently when others did not. Consistency is rare, and rarity always creates value. Franklin woke early. He planned his days. He ended them with review. He asked himself the same question every morning: what good shall I do this day? Not as philosophy, but as alignment. Because a man who knows exactly what he is building wastes no energy. Franklin structured his life to remove decision fatigue long before the term existed. He wore simple clothes, ate simply, lived simply. This was not austerity for its own sake. It was focus protection. Every unnecessary decision drains mental capital. Every distraction delays compounding. Franklin protected his attention the way most men protect money, because he knew attention creates money. This is the first leverage point. Wealth grows faster when your internal world is orderly. Franklin also understood debt differently than modern culture. He did not romanticize leverage. He feared dependency. To Franklin, debt was not just a financial tool. It was a character test. A man in debt answers to others. A man without reserves lives under pressure. So Franklin saved aggressively. He delayed gratification not because he hated pleasure, but because he valued freedom more. Freedom to walk away, freedom to refuse bad deals, freedom to think long-term. This is where many people fail. They earn, but they never accumulate margin. And without margin, there is no leverage. Franklin's wealth did not come from gambling or speculation. It came from positioning. He positioned himself as indispensable. Not flashy, not loud, but necessary. His printing shop became the default choice because people trusted him. Trust removes friction from transactions. Friction is expensive. Every time someone hesitates to work with you, it costs time, negotiation, and opportunity. Franklin removed hesitation, and that allowed him to charge fairly, be paid promptly, and scale calmly. He also understood the power of networks, but not the shallow networking most people practice today. Franklin built alliances of competence. He surrounded himself with thinkers, craftsmen, and builders. He co-founded groups like the Junto, a private circle dedicated to improvement, debate, and mutual advancement. This was not socializing. It was strategic association. Franklin knew your income is often capped by the thinking of the people around you, so he raised the level of conversation. Wealth is attracted to environments where ideas are sharpened. And Franklin created those environments intentionally. Another critical lesson from Franklin's life is how he handled reputation. He never rushed to defend himself. He never overpromised. He never burned bridges. He understood that reputation compounds slowly and collapses instantly. So he acted conservatively, even when he could have taken shortcuts. This is where modern thinking fails. People chase fast wins at the cost of long-term trust. Franklin played a longer game. He understood that a man known for reliability eventually gains pricing power. And pricing power is wealth, because it means you earn more without increasing effort. Franklin also reinvested wisely. He did not hoard money out of fear. He placed it where it would increase competence, influence, or durability. Printing presses, partnerships, public projects. He invested in things that lasted beyond trends. And this leads to one of Franklin's most important wealth lessons. Money should be used to reduce future effort, not increase present comfort. Every dollar spent should either buy time, stability, or skill. If it buys none of those, it is likely wasted. Franklin retired early from daily business because his systems worked without him. But retirement did not mean idleness. It meant redeployment. He redirected his energy into diplomacy, invention, and institution building. His wealth gave him range, and range multiplies influence. This is the real end goal of wealth. Not consumption, but capacity. The capacity to choose meaningful work. The capacity to say no. The capacity to shape outcomes. Franklin never chased luxury. He chased usefulness, and usefulness always finds compensation. The deeper lesson of part 2 is this: discipline is not restriction. It is leverage disguised as restraint. The man who controls himself controls his finances. The man who controls his finances controls his time. And the man who controls his time controls his destiny. In the next part, we will examine how Franklin transformed money into power and influence, without corruption, greed, or chaos, and why wealth without purpose collapses. Turning money into influence without corruption. Most people believe money changes a man. Benjamin Franklin believed the opposite. Money does not change who you are, it reveals who you already are. By the time Franklin reached financial independence, he faced a decision that defines every wealthy man's legacy. Use money for indulgence or use money for influence. Franklin chose influence, not the loud, fragile kind built on status or intimidation, but the quiet, durable kind built on trust, competence, and service. This is where Franklin's wealth strategy becomes radically different from modern thinking. He did not use money to escape responsibility. He used it to expand responsibility, because Franklin understood a truth that most people never confront. Money without purpose rots. Money with direction multiplies. Once Franklin no longer needed to work for income, he could have lived comfortably and disappeared. Instead, he leaned forward. He entered public life, not because it paid more, it paid less, but because public trust is the highest form of leverage. Franklin invested his time, reputation, and resources into civic institutions, libraries, fire departments, hospitals, universities. Why does this matter for wealth? Because Franklin understood that wealth is safest when it is embedded in society, not isolated from it. A man who contributes becomes protected. A man who extracts becomes resented. Franklin did not hoard advantage. He distributed competence, and in return, he gained something more valuable than money: legitimacy. Legitimacy opens doors money cannot. It grants access to decision-making rooms. It creates allies instead of enemies. It stabilizes wealth across generations. Franklin also mastered something few wealthy men do. He separated ego from outcomes. He did not need to be seen as the smartest man in the room. He needed the room to function. This made him an exceptional negotiator. During his diplomatic work, Franklin used patience as currency. He listened more than he spoke. He observed incentives. He delayed reactions. While others pushed aggressively, Franklin let time work, and time favors the prepared. This skill alone multiplied his influence more than money ever could. Here is the key lesson: wealth creates optionality. Optionality creates patience. Patience creates power. Franklin never rushed deals. He allowed opponents to exhaust themselves. He allowed systems to reveal their weaknesses. Then he acted precisely. This is why Franklin was trusted internationally, not because he was wealthy, but because he was predictable, measured, and rational. In business, politics, and life, predictability beats brilliance. Franklin also understood the importance of moral consistency, not perfection. Consistency. He knew people will forgive mistakes, but they never forgive hypocrisy. So his public and private behavior aligned. His spending was modest. His words were careful. His actions were steady. This alignment made his influence durable. Many men gain wealth and lose themselves. Franklin gained wealth and refined himself. He viewed money as energy, energy that must be directed, or it becomes destructive. This is why he avoided speculation, excess, and arrogance. He knew chaos grows fastest where discipline is abandoned. Another powerful lesson from Franklin's life is how he used failure. He made mistakes, bad investments, public criticisms, political setbacks. But Franklin treated failure as data, not identity. He adjusted systems, not ego. This mindset preserved his capital, both financial and social. Social capital matters more than financial capital once money is secured. Franklin never spent trust recklessly, because trust is harder to rebuild than money. He also believed deeply in long-term national prosperity. This is where his thinking becomes almost prophetic. He understood that individual wealth cannot survive in a collapsing system. So he invested in systems that outlived him. Stable institutions, educated citizens, shared values. Franklin's personal wealth was inseparable from his belief in collective order. Not because he was naive, but because he was strategic. Order creates predictability. Predictability creates investment. Investment creates growth. And Growth sustains wealth. This is a level of thinking most people never reach. They ask, how do I get rich? Franklin asked, how do I make wealth endure? And endurance requires legitimacy, contribution, and restraint. The deeper truth of part 3 is this: money gives you power only if your character can carry it. Without discipline, wealth amplifies chaos. With discipline, wealth amplifies order. Franklin's life proves that the highest use of money is not pleasure. It is position. Position allows you to influence outcomes without force. In the final part, we will extract the practical framework Franklin's life leaves behind, how to apply these principles today to build wealth that is calm, durable, and immune to chaos. The Franklin Framework for Calm, Durable Wealth and how to apply it today. Benjamin Franklin did not leave behind a fortune by accident. He left behind a framework, a way of thinking about money that does not rely on luck, hype, or speed, but on order, discipline, and long-term positioning. This final part is where everything comes together, because Franklin's life is not meant to be admired. It is meant to be used. The first principle of the Franklin Framework is internal order. Before Franklin ever multiplied money, he eliminated chaos. He structured his days. He tracked his behavior. He reduced waste, not because he was obsessed with control, but because he understood a brutal truth. Disorder inside a man always becomes disorder in his finances. Impulsive spending, inconsistent income, emotional decisions. These are symptoms, not causes. So the first step to building wealth is not earning more. It is governing yourself. If you cannot manage your time, your attention, and your habits, money will only magnify the problem. Franklin began every day with intention and ended it with review. You can do the same. Plan your day before the world plans it for you. Review your actions before excuses take over. Wealth grows fastest where awareness is high. The second principle is restraint before expansion. Franklin delayed gratification aggressively, not because he feared pleasure, but because he understood leverage. A man with savings has options. A man without savings has obligations. Modern culture tells you to increase income first and worry about discipline later. Franklin did the opposite. He reduced expenses, built margin, then expanded. This order matters because margin creates patience, and patience creates power. If you are constantly under financial pressure, you cannot think long-term. You will chase quick wins and accept bad deals. Franklin avoided this trap by living below his means even when he did not have to. The third principle is reputation as capital. Franklin treated his name like an asset. Every promise kept increased its value. Every shortcut avoided protected it. He understood that trust compounds faster than money. A reliable man gets more opportunities than a talented one. So ask yourself this: are you known for consistency or excuses? Because the market rewards the man it can depend on. The fourth principle is positioning over hustle. Franklin did not grind endlessly. He built systems that produced income without constant effort. He did not try to do everything. He focused on what he did best and delegated the rest. This allowed him to step back while his wealth continued forward. Wealth is not about effort. It is about structure. If your income depends entirely on your presence, you do not own a system. You own a job. Franklin worked to escape that dependency early. The fifth principle is association with thinkers, not talkers. Franklin chose his circle carefully. He avoided loud, chaotic people. He sought disciplined, thoughtful ones, because your environment trains you silently. If everyone around you is impulsive, you will be too. If everyone around you thinks long-term, you will begin to think that way as well. This is not motivation, it is conditioning. Franklin engineered his environment, and you should do the same. The sixth principle is reinvestment into durability. Franklin used money to reduce future effort. He invested in tools, partnerships, and institutions, things that lasted. Ask yourself this: does your spending create comfort, or does it create capacity? Comfort fades quickly, capacity compounds. The final principle is purpose beyond consumption. Franklin understood that wealth without direction collapses. So he gave his money a job, to strengthen institutions, to stabilize society, to create order. This did not weaken his wealth, it protected it. Because wealth anchored to contribution is harder to attack, harder to resent, and harder to destroy. Now here is the most important realization. Franklin did not follow this framework once, he lived it daily, and that is why it worked. Wealth is not built through intensity. It is built through identity. You do not become wealthy by chasing money. You become wealthy by becoming the kind of man money trusts. Disciplined, predictable, useful, calm under pressure. This is the man Franklin became, and this is the invitation his life leaves behind. Not to copy his era, but to adopt his standards. If you apply this framework consistently, your finances will begin to stabilize. Then they will grow. Then they will become resilient. And eventually, money will stop feeling like chaos and start feeling like command. If this way of thinking resonates with you, take the next step. Subscribe to Iron Republic. This channel is for men who believe wealth should be built with discipline, not desperation. Like the video if you value order over noise, and comment below with the word order if you are done living in financial chaos and ready to build wealth the Franklin way. This is Iron Republic, and this is how durable wealth is forged.